From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your Evening Update.
Furniture and Mattress 86 is stocked with mattresses. Mattresses starting at $149. Try our 120-night trial. Mattresses come with a 20-year warranty. Up to 72 months, 0 interest. Free local delivery and pickup. Furniture and Mattress 86 on Merchant Avenue across from the post office in Reading. If you find it for less, you should buy it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Meteorologist Mike Krueger, and it's going to be kind of the same song and dance here as we go through the next several days. We're going to be clearing things out overnight tonight, or at least drying things out, some of those leftover clouds, and then we see another chance for thunderstorms as we go into the next few days, really through the weekend, and in some areas even through early next week. But I don't think it's going to be quite as widespread. It'll be more in the way of isolated thunderstorms here, so the activity does seem to be dying down a little bit here, but there still will be the potential for some new lightning spark fires, as dry lightning will be a concern. Temperature-wise, no big changes. We're keeping it pretty much the same, and maybe a bit of a dip in our temperatures as we go into the end of the weekend and even into early next week. All right, let's take a look at your Krueger's Quick Cast for your Thursday, July 31st. Tonight, another mild night, mid to upper 60s for the valley. We're talking 50s for most of the higher elevations, and for the coast. And the coast, we'll be looking at more fog and drizzle, especially in the early morning hours. Tomorrow morning, you'll be looking at mainly clear skies. The valley in the mid 70s, somewhere in the 60s for most of the higher elevations by 8 a.m. Still dry. It's a dry start to the day, but by the afternoon, that all changes. So we are still seeing that swirling area of low pressure over the Gulf of Alaska. That is really preventing the heat from building in any stronger. And just like the last few days, I think the Storm Prediction Center is overdoing it with the thunderstorm activity in Del Norte and Humboldt counties. I think it'll mainly stay to the east of that. Fire weather outlook just showing the potential for dry lightning strikes, although I do think we could see more dry lightning strikes as well for Siskiyou and even parts of Trinity County as well. All right, so for tonight, yeah, things are starting to kind of dry out. We'll be looking at dry conditions to start off the day for your Friday, and it looks like some of that morning fog as well. By the afternoon, there it is, more showers and thunderstorms, but you see how it's really not a lot, just kind of scattered and few and far between. And really the bulk of the activity still looks to be mainly into Siskiyou County, but even this evening. Now, some of the shorter range forecast models do indicate that we could see a stray shower or thunderstorm work its way into places like Reading, maybe as far south as Red Bluff. Now, that's what's been indicating even yesterday. It didn't happen, so at this point I wouldn't count on it, but it is something we'll be watching here as we get closer to the evening hours. It dries out again for your Friday night. All right, let's take a look at your forecast for today, and those temperatures mid to upper 90s in the valley, and there's that chance for thunderstorms in the higher elevations. And as we take a look at your 7-day forecast for the valley, there's that dip in the temperatures come Sunday and Monday, mid-90s on average for Reading, although places like Red Bluff, low 90s, and maybe even struggling to get out of the 80s for Monday of next week for Chico. The coast, low to mid-60s, inland 80s for the most part, although a little warming back up in the 90s by Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Best chance for thunderstorms for Trinity County will be again tomorrow. I think we'll get a break on Saturday, Sunday, and then maybe another chance coming into Monday of next week. And I do think that Siskiyou County has an off and on chance all week through the rest of the week, this weekend, even into early next week. If we see a break at all, it'll be maybe around Saturday, especially for Modoc County and the eastern mountains around Susanville, maybe even Sunday as well. And then, yeah, again, across the board, a chance for more thunderstorms on Monday before it finally dries out, but begins to warm up as we go through next weck. All right, that's a look at your Krueger's Quickcast. I want to remind you, there's a free Weather NorCal app. You can download it for free. Just search for Weather NorCal in your app store. Be sure to put a space between Weather and NorCal. You can download the app for free. And one of the things I really do like, especially with all the thunderstorm warnings we've seen in the higher elevations, if you have the app and you live in that particular location, you will get the push notification before anybody else, even before the National Weather Service issues the severe thunderstorm warning. So be sure to download the app for free today, and you can be alerted first. All right, let's take a look at that fire weather forecast, sponsored by Garmin's Tractor Service. There you can see those winds are pretty much coming out of the south here. Again, it's going to be, a little breezy. The thing is, we're just seeing the same trend right? The afternoon winds, the winds calm down in the morning, the winds pick up again in the afternoon. But the main thing I'd like to really point out with this is the fact that we don't have any major wind events. Once we start talking about, wind events of gusts of 30, 40, 50 miles an hour, that's when we have to start being concerned. And when we start seeing fire weather risk getting out of the orange and getting into the reds and purples, that's another reason why we need to be concerned. But at this point, this is nothing unusual, just the typical stay safe, do what you can to prevent any new fires from starting, because Mother Nature is trying to do it on its own with lightning strikes. We don't need to help Mother Nature, that is for sure. But there you can see the area of low pressure right here, colder air here, warmer air trying to build in, but this is preventing that heat from building in any stronger, keeping our temperatures kind of status quo. Once again, I think it's overdoing it. Even into western Trinity, I think it's going to be a smaller chance as well. And I don't think we're going to see any, for the most part, in the valley. Chances for lightning strikes are certainly going to be a very good possibility. So we look at Futurecast. Same song and dance. But what you'll notice here as we go through the next few days, and we saw this a little bit earlier in Krueger's Quickcast, and that is, I got a little button happy. Hold on one second, folks. I'm going to go ahead and change this up. Let's see if we can get it back. I'm going to try to get it back. Is it going to go back for me? Oh, I need to push the other one. I think I'm going to push the wrong button. I did. Let me go back. We're going to go and take a look at Futurecast here. There it is. All right. Little glitch, but no problem. Okay, so here we go. Remember I was talking about how we're going to be looking at few and far between with those thunderstorms, and that's pretty much what I expect here. Here you can see, as we go into tomorrow morning, dry conditions. Same song and dance, right? Now, look at this. By midday, not a lot going on. By the afternoon, yeah, we're seeing most of the thunderstorm Siskiyou, but Modoc, Lassen, a straight shower thunderstorm, and maybe a straight shower thunderstorm in Trinity County as well, but dry in the valley and dry for Del Norte and Humboldt counties. We go to 6 p.m., maybe a pretty strong thunderstorm possibly developing in parts of Siskiyou, but Modoc, Lassen, and even Trinity County still seeing that potential. Then we go into tomorrow night, drier conditions. Right, and then we'll be looking at dry conditions for your Saturday morning, fog along the coast, some drizzle there. Some of the inland areas, by the way, we're seeing a lot of the inland valleys, seeing some of that fog too. Midday Saturday, still not much going on. See how it's few and far between. Now, Saturday looks like if anybody sees a break, it would be Trinity County, maybe Modoc, and I do also think Lassen County may see a better chance for that break. But Siskiyou County, I think still maybe a chance for thunderstorms once again for your Saturday. This long-range forecast model, this is the American forecast model, agrees with the European forecast model that Sunday there could be some thunderstorms, especially to the north, and it's for Siskiyou and Modoc counties. But I would say for Trinity County and for Lassen County, most likely staying dry. Then we go into Monday, and this is where the forecast models disagree. The European forecast model is indicating a chance for thunderstorms really across the board in the higher elevations, but dry in the valley. This one, not so much. But bottom line, especially as we go into Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, this is when I finally think we're going to stop talking about thunderstorms in the mountains, and it'll finally come to an end, at least for now. But there you can see the warmer than normal conditions here. We're starting to see temperatures increase a bit here. So here's what's happening. We've got the heat over the desert Southwest. That's been expanding into our region, which is a reason why we've been around normal and even just below normal for this time of the year. This is really what's been helping preventing this from building in any stronger. That'll be the case for your Friday, Saturday, and even your Sunday. But what's going to happen is some energy is going to break off from that cooler air and more mild air moving in for your Sunday, Monday. We'll see a slight dip in our temperatures before they go back up because that moves on out. But here's the key. Right? We're watching this ridge of high pressure here, big heat, another area of big heat. These are all trying to really expand into our region, but they're having a hard time. Why? Because we have another trough of low pressure right here. See that? That is significant. Now, I do expect to most likely climb above normal as we look at the longer range here, the 10-day trend, but not by much. The normal high for Reading is about 100 degrees. We'll be maybe a few degrees above that toward the end of next week. But no major heat waves. And looking beyond 10 days, I'm not seeing any major heat waves. This has been an amazing summer. I don't think, most people have really taken note of that it hasn't been too terribly hot. We sure have had a couple of heat waves. Got close to 110 degrees this month in Reading alone, but that's it, right? Just one day. But there's the thunderstorms for Friday. Dry, most likely through the weekend, and then maybe another chance going into your Monday. Now, for the North Coast, you're going to be dry minus the drizzle in the morning especially, but otherwise mostly cloudy skies, low to mid-60s for your daytime highs. Inland, I don't expect any showers or thunderstorms here, but you will be looking at those cooler temperatures Sunday, Monday, warming back up for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. For Siskiyou County, you've got the chance for thunderstorms pretty much all weekend long, even into Monday of next week. Finally taking out that chance for thunderstorms by next Tuesday. Cooler weather by the time we do get into your Sunday and into your Monday. All right, let's take a look at your Modoc County neighborhood forecast. I've taken Saturday out, but you know, if you see a stray thunderstorm Saturday, don't be surprised. But I think it's mainly going to be for tomorrow, Sunday, and Monday. Eastern Mountains, we take a look at places like Susanville. Maybe a break all weekend long before maybe that chance for more thunderstorms on Monday. Cooler weather too by the time you get to Sunday, Monday. Upper 80s, back in the 90s by Tuesday of next week. Here's your Valley neighborhood forecast to the south. Temperatures in the mid-90s there. There's that dip in the temperatures. You can clearly see that looking at your 7-day forecast for Chico. Maybe even struggling to get out of the 80s by Monday. Back in the mid-90s by Tuesday, Wednesday, and then a little bit of a spike by next Thursday. Let's take a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast to the north. And yeah, we're going to be flirting with, if not reaching 100 degrees here for some spots in the north end of the valley. Otherwise, 94 degrees for Lakehead, 95 in Whiskeytown. And here's your 7-day forecast for Redding. Temperatures upper 90s, mid-90s by Sunday, Monday. And there's that spike in those temperatures by next Thursday. That's your evening update. I'll be back again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and live on Coffee Krueger at 6:30. Have yourselves a great rest of your night.
Barr & Mudford is a top, established firm here in the North State. Founded over a half-century ago, Barr & Mudford is protecting the rights of our neighbors and community. We take our commitment to our clients very seriously and provide a level of excellence unrivaled in the North State. Barr & Mudford, standing up for the rights of our neighbors and our beautiful community, serving Northern California with excellence.